Welcome to the Ecommerce Alley podcast, where we believe that in order to build life-changing businesses, you need passionate leadership, smart operations, and of course, powerful marketing. My name is Josh Coffey. I've spent the last 11 years helping businesses generate hundreds of millions of dollars in sales through things like marketing frameworks and coaching and consulting. And what's pretty cool is we have currently, as of recording this, we have more than 1.6 million per month going through our business portfolio on Meta ads. And so what's neat about that is, number one, that's a pretty cool number to say. I can't wait till it's like 100 million a month. That'd be crazy. But what's really cool is we have a really good pulse on what kinds of things are working, because we have access to a lot of accounts. And so what's really nice is I could know at any given moment what the trends are amongst different campaign structures, amongst testing frameworks and different objectives and new rollouts of product features or releases that Facebook is doing or Meta is doing, as well as what types of ads and what types of creatives are really working. And what I've seen in the last 11 years is that many different, we've gone through a lot of different phases of types of creatives that have worked. But as we've gone through these phases, a lot of us have hung on to some that are not really working now, and our performance is down, but we keep trying to do the same thing that works. And I was just on a coaching call where somebody was telling me that, hey, well, this ad has always been this type of creative. The UGC for us has always done well. It's always done well. It's always done well. And if you find yourself saying that, and you have this sacred ad that maybe did well in 2021 or 2020 or 22 or 23, guess what? Meta's moving really, really quickly. Because at one point, I remember when graphic ads were the king of the graphic ads where you have these cheesy, cartoony people in them. And then I remember when everything moved to candid photos and lifestyle photos. And then I remember when having reviews with the stars on it was doing really well, and testimonial ads, and UGC was king for a really long time, and moving into the whole video moment of time. And then memes, I don't know if you remember this, but memes, and some are still around, but you don't see as many of them because they don't generally perform very well in the long run. You get a little laugh, but it doesn't help build the brand in any regard, so it's usually very short-lived. And so we've gone through all of these different cycles of different types of creatives. And so what I want to do in this episode is I want to talk through the number one performing ad type, and what we call it is a little strange, but the number one type that we see just crushing everything else right now, and it's actually been doing this for about 4, 5, 6 months, but all of our clients know that. And if you're not a client and you're just a podcast listener, then you need to become a client so you get access to this stuff way sooner. We'll have a link in the description if you want to check out our brand new Alley membership month to month. You get access to our observations and you get access to all of our meta ad training systems. Check it out. But the number one type of ad right now that we're seeing outperform everything else, for the most part, there are some outliers, but for the most part, this type of creative is the best. And it's what we call an Addy ad. And the definition that I wrote for this is an advertisement that clearly shows what the product is, what the product does, and it looks like an advertisement. It's not a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's very obvious that this is an advertisement. And it's a crazy concept, but what we're seeing is that people, for whatever reason, they want a clear delineation between what is their friend posting in the feed and what is an advertisement. And it's very counter advertising advice, because advertising advice is, there's this common phrase that you've probably heard, and that is stop the scroll. You need scroll stopping creatives. But scroll stopping creatives, here's the downside of them. The downside is that scroll stopping creatives can create a lot of intrigue, but a very low degree of intent. And if you have a high degree of intrigue and a very low degree of intent, well, you can get a lot of traffic and a lot of clicks of really low quality people that think that what you're selling is like an article or something, or it's like a tutorial, or it's not what they thought, and then they land there and realize you're selling something only for them to back out. In fact, if you're that focused on scroll stopping creatives, that could actually be hurting your performance of the ads right now. And there are a lot of times that we see this really happen to, but what I would say is that like Meta's AI, it's just evolved. It's so good. Like we've seen it get so great at finding people that want your products, that it takes the context of your creative and your copy and your landing page, and it finds people that have interest in it. And the best way to equip Meta with that knowledge of who to serve your ads up to is just simply give it great clarity. And great clarity are ads that look like ads. And in the past, these didn't do so well, but right now, they're just crushing it. And my belief is because Meta's AI is just really good at finding people that are actively looking to buy something. In fact, we've seen these ads do so well that we even put together like over 100, we did this about 3 months ago. We put together over 150 Canva templates for all of our clients because we saw these doing so well for several months that we're like, hey, let's give all of our clients these. And then now they're getting much better results. In fact, most of the Canva templates that they're all using are like the best performing ads that they have, which by the way, if you want them and you're not one of our clients yet, that's okay. We'll have a link in the description. It'll save you thousands of bucks on buying a professional or paying a professional designer, and you'll get them for like a teeny tiny fraction of the cost. We'll put a link in the description if you want to go check those out. And so how do we create Addy ads? Like, what does that look like? Well, when we're creating ads, we like to look at ads through the lens of a spectrum, where on one end of the spectrum you have intent, and on the other end of the spectrum you have intrigue. And what our job is to do is find the perfect balance of ad creative between those that will move, it'll drive clicks from the intrigue, but also a degree of intent to where they are adding and purchasing at record rates. And so to kind of describe the two, so a high intent ad is basically like an ad that has a photo of the product, a headline of the product, and a description with product specs. That's like far end of the spectrum where it's like, hey, this is our mug. Here's a photo of the mug. Buy the mug. The mug weighs this much and it's this much dimension. That's like all the way on the high intent spectrum. On the high intrigue spectrum, on the way opposite, you could say, hey, I'm selling sofas, but on the sofa, I have a baby and a kitten. Okay, well, obviously the sofa is what I'm selling, but you know what's gonna happen? People love photos of babies and people love photos of kittens. And so they're not gonna realize that it's about a sofa. They're gonna see it and be like, oh, cute baby, cute kitten, and they're gonna click. And so that's like the extreme side of like high degree of intrigue. And so what we need to do is we need to find a balance of intent, but also an intrigue. And if you could find that perfect balance, you're gonna get great cost per click, you're gonna get ads to cart, you're gonna get people purchasing, and it's gonna feed it back to Facebook and say, hey, all of these people are good quality people, the estimated action rate is very high, and it's gonna give you all kinds of love, your CPMs will go down, your cost per clicks will be locked in, your return on ad spend is gonna be great, your cost per acquisition is gonna be great. But most often, I would say, if I was looking at that spectrum, the most often things we see are a high degree of intrigue. And a symptom of having ads with a lot of intrigue and very little intent is that you get tons of clicks, you get very few ads to cart, and you get very few, if any, purchases, and you're unprofitable in your campaigns. And I used to think that, hey, that's okay if you get enough volume of traffic, right? Because with enough volume, mathematically, you're gonna get people who end up buying. But what we've seen recently, especially this year, is that if you have a high degree of intrigue and a real low degree of intent, you're gonna get a lot of volume of clicks, but it's just gonna feed really bad data back to Facebook, and it's not gonna be optimized, and it's gonna basically tell Meta, not Facebook, it's gonna tell Meta, hey, nobody wants to buy this stuff, and then Meta just gets dumber. And there are 3 particular types of creatives that if you're doing these, I would entirely avoid them because they're going to cost you a lot of money, they're likely gonna not produce results, and you're gonna throw your hands in the air and be like, I have seen these get great, these are getting great clicks and nobody's buying. Then you need to stop advertising or stop prioritizing these 3 creatives. If that's happening, it's probably one of these 3 creatives. The first type of creative that gives what we would call a false positive, meaning get high clicks, low conversion, it's leading you to believe it's a great thing because you get good cost per click, but it's false because you're not getting conversion, and that is lifestyle. So if you have lifestyle photos or videos, a lot of times the challenge is if I have a person in here and the person's like sitting on a sofa, right? And they have like a jacket on and they have a watch on. And then the question becomes like, well, are you selling the sofa? Are you selling the watch? Are you selling the shirt, the pants, the shoes, the hoodie or the jacket that they have on? Like, what is being sold here? And the challenge with lifestyle photos is that if it's not close enough up on the product and it's not a heavy emphasis on the product, then it's pretty difficult to know what's being sold. And so what happens is you get a lot of clicks and you get few purchases. That's the first type of creative that gives you oftentimes a false positive. The second type of creative that gives a false positive are usually like UGC videos or just videos in general. And here's why. First, people have seen a lot of them. And they've seen all the scripts read off, and everybody's not dumb. They know that you're hiring an influencer or a content creator or somebody from like Billo.com or one of those platforms that you could send your products and they'll do the videos for X amount of dollars. People know that it's a script. They know that someone's being paid to read it off. People aren't dumb. And so it's gotten to the point now where, you know what? It came. And in our experience, it has kind of gone. And the other challenge with videos in general is that if you don't show what's happening or like what you're selling in the first 5 to 10 seconds, people are gonna click in those first 5 to 10 seconds, which is when most people click, and they won't realize what it is yet. So if you have this long drawn out story about like, if you're experiencing back pain and this and this and this and this and this and this and this, and they're like, yes, I am. I wanna know how to alleviate my back pain. And maybe this is a great free article or tutorial that's going to teach me that, click. And you haven't gotten to your product, now you're driving a lot of intrigue and you don't have a whole lot of intent. I just actually had a client that sells a supplement that helps with your heart. And some of the graphics that he was using in some of the videos were all focused on like 12 heart problems and all these things and had graphics and like illustrations of those heart problems. And so he's getting 32-cent clicks. It was crazy. I'm like, oh, that's really low clicks. But nobody was adding to cart, nobody was buying. And I looked at him and I was like, I just looked at the creatives and I said, well, it's because they're scared for their lives. They're in fear that they're gonna die from these 12 things. And so they're trying to click and figure out what they don't need to do. And then they get to a product page and I'm like, oh, it's selling something. So we need to, so he had to move to like more intent-based things. So that's the second type. And then the third type is packaging focused creative. Now this is stuff where like, if I was selling like a skincare product, this is a really common one. If I'm going, or a supplement, and I just show the bottle and that's it, people don't know what a bottle is just by scrolling by it. So if you focus on the packaging, you have something that's in a box and people don't know what's in the box, or they don't know how it tastes or how it smells or the flavor that it has, then they're gonna keep scrolling by. Nobody knows what a bottle is. There's no, if you just see a bottle and they have to read the text on it to know that it's whatever flavor or it's whatever scent, or then they're gonna get confused and you're gonna lose out on that. So those are three creatives that if you're doing those and you're not seeing results, you're seeing lots of clicks and you're getting low conversion. Lifestyle photos, UGC videos / videos in general, and then also packaging-based creative is going to likely be slowing you down and not driving the degree of intent that you need. And so if you create high intent ads, what's gonna happen is you might have a little bit higher cost per click than intriguing ads, but you're gonna have a lot higher quality people that buy, and I would pick that every day over doing that. And so an example of like a higher intent ad is that, like, let's say you have a product that smells or it tastes, then what you want to do is you wanna get people to smell or taste it visually through the screen with vivid setting and imagery. And this is great, like if you do like soap or candles or lotions, you need people to be able to smell it through the screen. If you have orange, if it's like a citrus scented thing, you want them to be able to smell it through the screen. So put citrus oranges in there. And there's plenty of AI out there that allow you to easily do that, so you don't have to build a product set and do a little photography shoot for that. Same thing with food stuff, things that taste, sauce, coffee, beverages, stuff that you have to take and that's gonna have a taste to it, have them taste it through the screen so that way they like emotionally can connect with it, other than just saying, here's our sauce bottle. Like if it's really spicy, put chilies next to it, put habaneros next to it, put whatever else is maybe in it, so that way they can know right away. And so if we could just do that and go higher intent, that usually will get us to profitable ads. And then we're able to optimize from that point forward. So I would rather go straight on the high intent spectrum and then work toward the intrigue spectrum. So that way we're starting with greater profitability, and then we're just having some fun with our ads to get them to the point where like, okay, we're able to lower our cost per click. We have a high degree of intent, so it's very clear what's being sold. However, now we're starting to move over to this intriguing end of the spectrum without going too far over the line. And so what I want to do is I want to give you a couple examples. And if you're on YouTube, you'll be able to see these. We're going to throw these on the screen so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. If not, I'm going to go ahead. If you're listening, I'm going to describe these so you have an idea of what Addy ads actually look like. I'm going to give you 5 examples here. So the first example, I'm going to use our own graphic to show you what this looks like. This single ad right here has spent, and I just looked the number, so far it's still spending, but this one ad by itself inside with other ads next to it, this ad has spent $120,401 in the last 4 months. Not bad. This ad has, or in the last 4 months. This ad has spent a little over 120 grand, single ad. And to talk through this here, if you look at this, it's pretty simple. It's a graphic-y ad. At the top it says the ultimate e-commerce Facebook ads course. And then it shows Meta's little ads manager icon. And then it shows like, hey, Josh in the studio with a video. It shows some spreadsheets. It shows like a workbook, and it shows like the desktop with me in it. And then it shows the course on like the iPad, and then just me in a photo of me on an iPhone. And then the bottom it says the scientific Facebook ads testing system we use to get 20 to 30 new customers daily. Really simple, very straightforward. It is a course. This is exactly what you're getting. The second creative here is actually from a dog collar brand, and this is a product in setting. So if you're gonna do something where like, hey, Josh, I don't wanna just have like a graphic or like white background with the product in front of it. I wanna do it in a setting. Here are 2 great examples. This first one here is like a spooky-ish collar for Halloween. And so you just literally see 2 different dog collar sizes, a large and a small, stacked right on top of each other in a dark environment. So it's just like you see some like leaves in the background, so you can tell it's kind of like a fall-y environment, and then you just have the collar sitting there. There's no dog in this, because you know what would happen? If we had a dog in here, guess what would happen? We're gonna slide heavy to the intrigue-based side, and then our cost per clicks are gonna get real cheap, and our cost per action is gonna go up. It's gonna be a lot more expensive to acquire people, because people, they love dogs. So if I put a golden retriever in here with this on, they're gonna click because of the dog, not because of the collar. So very heavy focus here. The second creative of that, so I want 2 examples here, is very similar, where it's like these different color design. It's more orangey, and then this one is sitting in on a tree branch, and you could just tell it's all blurred out around it, but you could tell that it's like a fall-y setting that this is sitting in. And by the way, a lot of this stuff you could just create an AI, or you could just Photoshop this in with a background without having to like actually go out in nature and take these photos. And it's not a bad idea to do that, because then you could change it with the season. This third creative here, that's an Addy ad, is which by the way, these 2 collars here, I wanted to show you these examples. This isn't like a super Addy ad, it's an Addy-ish ad, because it is a product in setting, but it doesn't have like call outs on it and all kinds of good stuff like that. This is the type of lifestyle photo I would do that is more Addy, because it is focused on the product. All right, and then number 3, this is like a taste or smell through the screen type ad. So this ad is for a soap brand, and it says on the ad, it shows the pink soap, and it's a grapefruit soap, and it's sitting on this sitting on like a little wooden tray here. And then in the back, because it's grapefruit, in the back there is a half-cut grapefruit. So I can immediately see, and without even me reading the fact that it says grapefruit soap, I see the grapefruit and I immediately know that this is a citrusy soap. I know right away that that's that, and then I see grapefruit, and then it just verifies that that's a grapefruit and maybe not an orange. And then it says all natural plant-based soap, dry skin, no more. I love these types of ads. If you do anything that smells or tastes, please make sure that you're putting stuff around it so that you understand it. In the same soap brand, when they have like their oatmeal-based ones, guess what? You have the soap, and then you have like a bag, and the oats are kind of coming out of it right around it. So you very clearly know that this is oatmeal. All right, the fourth one that I'm really liking, that these kind of came and went. These were here before, and then they kind of fizzled out a little bit, and other things became better. But now these are coming back, and we're seeing great results with these. And this is us versus them ads. And so I pulled this from a brand that I think is really great. It's Right Wing Naturals. And this is us versus them. It says real soap for real Americans. And then it's actually calling out Dr. Squatch. On the left-hand side, I see Dr. Squatch with little X's next to it. And it says, California company supports mythical creatures, politically correct. And so obviously this is Right Wing Naturals, so this is a right wing brand, and so they're looking at they're comparing themselves to the other guys, right? It's us versus them, and we're calling out who our ideal customer would be in this. Whether you agree with this ad or not, that's really smart messaging to call out why you're different. And so on the other side, it has Right Wing Naturals, and it says check marks, and it says Red State Company supports military vets and unapologetic values. And then at the bottom of the graphic, it says unapologetically authentic. Great example of us versus them, and it's very Addy ad. And then the fifth and final one that I highly recommend that everybody listening or watching this try is the simple call out. Now, this is from Bunny Box, is one of our clients here, and this is a great looking ad here. So in this ad, it is pretty graphic heavy, but this is a subscription box for bunnies. They ship treats and toys and stuff every single month to people with bunnies. And at the top it says Bunny Box. It has a logo, and then it says the tagline, spoil your bunnies with new surprises. And then in the center of it we have, now this is a great mixture. I want to draw attention to why this is such a balanced ad on the intent versus intrigue. It's intriguing, it's intent based because in the center I see all of the product. And then I see some call outs where it says enrichment, hide and seek toys, tasty chews for dental health, trusted brands, safe and fun, easy delivery every month, right? Calls out all of these different things. And it has some arrows drawn, but here's where it gets the intrigue. You see these two little bunnies with their heads just popping out of this brown box. It has bunnybox.com on it, and all the treats and everything are stacked next to them. That is a perfect example. This ad right here, and it also says on here, by the way, pause, skip, or cancel anytime, no commitments. This is clearly an ad. It shows the product in the center. It has call outs. It says Bunny Box. It says pause, skip, or cancel anytime, no commitments. That's straight ad. That's like something you would see on a commercial, the TV. For all the young people, it's something we used to watch. And then you have these two bunnies popping out, so now you have this high degree of intrigue. So when you put an animal in something, you have a high degree of intrigue, but you have all the products. So this, to me, is a wonderful ad on the intent and the intrigue scale. So big takeaway in all of this is as you continue to advertise, like if you feel that your ads have just been hitting a wall, then consider running Addy ads. You can grab our templates if you want them. They're super cheap. Click the link in the description. You can check those out. Also, most of the examples that I just covered, those are all using the templates that we gave them. But as you kind of build and you test them, I encourage you to make sure that when you're building ads, that you look through that lens of intent versus intrigue, and make sure that you avoid a high degree of intrigue, because what's going to happen if you do is you're going to get a lot of clicks and very little sales.